Hello everyone, welcome to another CSE Cafe Tech Brew session. Today we are going to start learning about AI. Last session we had looked into how AI work on Azure Cloud. We will look into AWS, GCP and other cloud providers in future sessions. But in the last session we looked into almost all AI services within Azure Cloud that was not marked as classic or deprecated. We quickly looked into generative AI, agentic AI, and computer vision, language services, lot of things. We are taking a step back to understand what this AI is. And then we will go forward and then learn about generative AI, agentic AI, and anything that you suggest. Okay, so if you have any doubts or queries during this session, you can ask in the chat since this is recorded and will be published over our CSE Cafe channel. But towards the end, after the session, I will stay back for as long as you want to answer any questions over voice. So when we go to the voice mode in the end, you can raise hand. I will unmute you and you can ask me anything over voice. And during the session, please ask through the chat. So are you ready to get started with AI? Hope you can see my screen. In case if you are new to my sessions, you can always know about me by going to my LinkedIn profile. And if you type for, if you go to the CSE Cafe YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/at CSE Cafe, I've also created a shortcut. Just type csc.cafe and it will redirect you to youtube.com/at CSE Cafe. And this is the recording, Azure AI 01. This is a recording of last week's session where we touched upon almost all of the AI services within Azure Cloud that are not deprecated or that are not marked as classic. And in future sessions, after we learn about AI in general, generative AI in general, and agentic AI in general, we will look into all of those services again in detail, and we will master Azure AI as well as AI, and then we will also proceed to AWS, GCP, and other cloud providers. Okay, so stay connected. Just subscribe to the channel so that you will get notifications when new videos are uploaded. So that's it. Without wasting much time, let us get started. So last session we had zero presentation. It was 100% hands-on within Azure Cloud. So today we are taking a step back and then trying to learn some theory so that you can better understand the services that you actually see within your cloud sessions. So this is a rough agenda for today. What is AI, key terms and hierarchies. We will briefly look into what agentic AI is, but we will have a dedicated session on agentic AI in coming Tech Brews. Then we will quickly look into responsible AI and the kinds of work AI ML engineers do. This is a open point. So if you know about any other job roles than listed, you can definitely let me know, and then I will update the comments within the recording, or I'll include them in future sessions. Okay, so how many of you are afraid about AI? Because when I started talking about AI for the first time, my daughter asked me whether AI is going to attack us like we see in movies. And my response to her was, if somebody is going for a war and they don't know anything about martial arts or anything about the way they are going to fight, definitely they will fail, right? But if you know how to fight, if you know the other player well, then you can win. That is why instead of fearing about AI, just embrace it. Just try to learn it. There are people are telling that okay, AI is not going to do much harm. But if you just search about the number of layoffs around, then you will know AI is really doing some changes in the industry. And I saw another post that said, okay, people say AI is very productive, it makes people productive, but why we are not seeing a lot of new products in the market because of this productivity? And the answer, according to me, is just because AI makes things more easy or it makes you more productive, you doesn't have to build projects that do not have customers. And because of that, companies definitely will be firing some people because previously those work that needed 10 people may now need lesser number of people. So rather than increasing the products that people do not need, companies are going to leave some people out. So what you can do is at least learn about AI and be prepared. So what is this thing called AI or artificial intelligence? So towards the end, I will share you notes to read through and understand most of the things discussed within this session. But during the session, if you have any doubts at all, just type in the chat. And after the session, we will stay back and you can ask over voice if you prefer that. In very simple terms, AI is making machines behave like humans. It can predict outcomes and recognize patterns based on historic data. So when you give lot of historical data, then you can predict, okay, based on the historical data and based on the patterns I have derived, okay, this is going to happen. It can also recognize abnormal events and help us make decisions. It can also interpret visual input. So like the computer vision area, right? So it can detect, okay, something is wrong and then notify. You have self-driving cars. Okay, and then AI can understand language and engage in conversations. The most common use case most of you are aware about today, right? Asking ChatGPT or similar tools and then getting answers. And you can also extract information from sources to gain knowledge, maybe your receipts or bills or something. So we saw most of these things or the services that can help us do most of these things in the Azure AI intro session. So today we will see some theory and then we'll be later going through all of these things in depth. Okay, so AI was there for some time, but the recent AI boom is mostly due to LLMs and GenAI, right? So is GenAI a subset of LLM, or what are these terms like LLMs and GenAI? Who are they related to the broader AI term? So if you can completely answer this question, or at least a part of this, you can try to answer. Or if you do not know the answer, just type N. Almost all of you have said no. So let us go and explore. So GenAI is not a subset of LLM. GenAI is an AI. So that is why it is called as GenAI, right? That creates something new. It could be text, it could be images, it could be music, it could be video, and something else. While LLMs are used for text generation, there are other deep learning models like diffusion models, GANs, VAs, and audio or multimodal models that generate images, audio, video, or mixed content based on different types of input data. So when I say AI, the bigger umbrella of AI just make sure the systems behave like humans. And the next category within AI is ML or machine learning. So basically, you teach machines to learn from data. So rather than telling them everything on your own to work like humans, you let them learn on their own, like kids learn on their own, right? Many things. Until they go to school, nobody is going to sit and teach most of the common things, right? They see and they learn. So similarly, machines can see and learn. We will look into those aspects also in detail later. And then the next category is deep learning. So deep learning is a type of machine learning using layered neural networks. It is inspired by our brain. And then comes generative AI. So AI has been there for quite a very long time. But all of these AI things became popular like we see today only in last few years. Why? It is mostly because of GenAI and related tools such as ChatGPT. You may hear about these terms such as LLMs or large language model. So they are deep learning models trained on massive amounts of text. So GenAI uses LLMs to generate text, and it also uses other models such as diffusion models and all to generate other types of data like images. So some of the examples like when you say AI, even Apple's Siri answering your questions can be considered as AI. And when you say ML, you show a system thousands of cat and dog images, and it learns how to tell them apart, and then you provide an image, and the system will tell you whether it is a cat or a dog. And deep learning that powers AI across NLP, which is natural language processing, chatbots, translators, and computer vision, like the face and object detection, speech recognition, like the voice assistants, generative AI, generating text, images, music, video, and even autonomous systems like self-driving cars, robots. So all of these things are powered by deep learning. And popular GenAI tools include ChatGPT, DALL, Music LM, Runway ML, and some of the popular LLMs like GPT from OpenAI, Bird from Google, Claude from Anthropic, Gemini from Google, Grok from XAI. So deep learning is a type of machine learning that uses layers of neurons within a neural network. So what are neurons? So neural networks are systems of interconnected nodes like neurons inspired by our human brain that process information and recognize patterns. And deep learning, which is a type of machine learning, uses this neural network and neurons to automatically learn very complex patterns from a vast amount of data, enabling tasks like image recognition, speech understanding, and natural language processing. And each of these neurons takes input, gives important to it using weights, and applies symbol rule to decide what to pass on and sends the result to the next layer. It is multi-layered, right? So this training part and all we will see in future sessions if you are really interested in training a model. Large language models such as GPT-4, Claude, or Gemini are transformer-based deep learning models trained on massive text datasets and power popular generative AI products such as ChatGPT, Claude AI, and Google Gemini Chat, etc. That are good to understand, like model, the AI brain that learns patterns from data and makes decisions or predictions, which is the result of training. And what is a training? So training a model is basically teaching that model with the data, so it learns patterns. It's iterative, and after each round we validate to tune it, and after the whole training process end, we test it on unseen data. So when we look into ML in detail, we will see how this training actually work. And then we have inference. It is using a trained model to analyze new data and make predictions or generate results, like answering a question or classifying an image. So basically, using that model. As many people are afraid, and there are reasons to be afraid. Many companies, many governments ask you to follow responsible AI principles. So basically, AI should be fair, inclusive, secure, trustworthy for everyone. And then the most hyped or the most talked about feature of AI today, which is the Agentic AI, which is an AI that doesn't just chat or answer questions, but can think, plan, and take action on its own, mostly making use of LLMs, like booking a flight ticket with little human intervention. Agentic AI also has a dedicated session coming up. A quick example of Agentic AI, since it is very important in today's world. The characteristics of Agentic AI, with the example of flight booking that we briefly talked about in the previous slide, right? First one is autonomy, which means it operates independently, not just passively responding. The agent searches for flights on its own once you give it the destination and date. Second, goal oriented. It works towards objectives, not just predictions. So its goal is to find and book the best flight that matches your preferences. So like price, timing, airline, and also it is iterative. It learns and adapts through cycles of reflection and feedback. Maybe if the first option is sold out or too expensive, it rechecks alternatives until it finds a good fit. And it is also environment aware. It interacts dynamically with real world or simulated environments. It pulls in real world data like current flight schedules, weather updates to make smarter choices. And also, it can use tools, can call APIs, run code, or leverage external tools to solve problems. The agent, for example, connects to airline APIs, compares prices on booking platforms, and even make the payment. So this is just one example, right? You can think about some use case, and when you receive the link to the recording video, you can comment on it, and then we will discuss on those examples in our dedicated agentic AI session, and we'll also have a hands-on discussion on agentic AI. So to build agentic AI, you have some frameworks also. So when you are working on any cloud provider, they will give you some portal platform where you can build them. And there are also pro code frameworks like LangGraph and all that you can use if you like coding. There are also no code platforms. So we will explore all popular pro code platforms, low code platforms, and even cloud options within our agentic AI session. You may get this question, right? So all of these things I can just write if else condition and I can do. But the difference here from that just workflow is that here you are using a model. Model is the brain, right? So different models you can test out. Accuracy and other parameters are based on those. And also you can configure some parameters such as temperature, TOP, etc. So those things also we will explore more in our generative AI dedicated session. So we saw how to decrease and increase temperature in the Azure AI getting started session, but we did not actually learn what this temperature is in detail, right? So that we will do in our generative AI theoretical discussion. Responsible AI principles. First one is fairness. So fairness. So what is the risk here? A bias can affect results. Example, a hiring AI favoring one gender. Transparency. What is the risk? Decisions may be unclear. So AI might take some decisions, and you are unclear why AI took the decision. Okay, for example, loan denial without explanation. So AI is also evolving, right? So it has to be transparent on why it took that decision. It should not be just like randomly choosing an option, right? And then privacy and security. What's the risk? Data may be leaked or misused. Example, a voice assistant exposing private conversations. There are many who are afraid that the voice assistants like Alexa, Siri, or the Google assistants, those assistants that are always waiting for our commands, actually they can hear things that are not commands also, right? So then only they can hear the commands also, right? And then how they use that data, people are afraid. And even a tool like ChatGPT, whatever information you provide to that ChatGPT, it can be used for their training, right? So based on my knowledge, the regular ChatGPT data, whatever you type with ChatGPT, can be used for its training. But if it is a corporate account, it will not use. At least that is what it tells me, saying, okay, your company information will not be used for training. I see a pop-up. Make sure you understand those risks before you work with any AI tool. And accountability. What is the risk? No one takes responsibility. Example, a self-driving car causing an accident with unclear liability. And also reliability and safety. What is the risk here? AI may fail or cause harm. Example, a medical AI giving a wrong diagnosis. Finally, inclusiveness. Some groups may be left out. Example, speech AI struggling with certain accents. So you may think, okay, it is AI, but how can AI make these mistakes, right? It could be also related to how it is trained. So if it is trained primarily using one gender, or if it is trained primarily using one race, so those can create issues later during the inference, right? The kinds of work AI ML engineers do. So sometimes you'll be developing ML models. So ML engineers are building and training new ML or AI models from scratch. Example, a researcher at OpenAI designing a new LLM, or an engineer at Communities Canada developing a recommendation engine. If you are building something from scratch, you have to learn more. Mathematics also is involved. So one set of people develop models, but not everybody will be working in developing models in today's world, right? So second set of people will be using those models. And when you use those models, you can simply use that without any modification. For example, you have a AI agent, and within that AI agent, you have to use some model, and you use some model from OpenAI or some other company, and then use it without any modification. So that is one way of using it. And another way is adapting that model to your business use case. You can either take a model and fine tune. So you can take a model, a pre-trained model, and then you can provide it with additional training data. So that is fine tuning. But the problem is that not all models will allow you to fine tune. So you can use another approach called RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation. So how many of you have heard about this term called prompt engineering? Okay, it is all about building good prompts. Prompts are what you tell the model. So you have a ChatGPT prompt, and then you type something. Okay, ChatGPT, this is the context. Okay, do that, do this. This is what I want. I don't want this kind of output. I want that kind of output. So how accurate is your prompt? The response will be also that much accurate. For example, if you are asking it to generate some text, you cannot expect it to always give you correct answers. Sometimes it will give answers and it may be a wrong answer. That is called hallucination, right? But if you give some data, this is how I mostly use, because you get a lot of formatting for free, right? It is saving your time. So if I have some data, sometimes I ask ChatGPT, okay, format this thing into something that is presentable for X system. So it will format it. So I have given some information and asked it to format, consider it as option one, and I just asked it to generate, consider it as option two. Which of these do you think will give you the most accurate document or formatted text? Option one or option two? Option one is me giving ChatGPT some text and then ask it to format according to my need. Option two is asking it to generate. It's always when ChatGPT or any such tool has more information, right? That is the idea of RAG. Your organization may have a lot of documents available, and you are asking ChatGPT or any tool a question. So the system that sits between this model and between you, sits between you and the model, that will search another database, usually a vector database, where information about your other documents are present. And along with that information that it receives from the other system, it will do the query against the model. That is called as RAG. So you make a query, you do not change the model, but you just change the prompt with additional more accurate data, maybe from your organization data. Either you change the model with additional data, that is fine tuning, or you change the prompt with additional data, that is RAG or retrieval augmented generation. Clear about how you can customize a model for your business use case? Yes or no? I'm not asking about the how to part, at least the two options that we saw here. Okay, good. The first set of engineers develop models, second set of engineers use models, and the third set of engineers use services that internally use models. When you go to Azure Cloud or AWS Cloud, you will have options to generate models, train models, and all. And you will also have option to fine tune and use RAG. And there will be also some managed services where you do not have to choose a model. You just trust that model. For example, in Azure, we saw computer vision, document intelligence, and many services in the Azure AI session, right? In AWS also, we will see in upcoming episodes. So those services, we don't care what model. We can look into the documentation and understand what models are being used, but we don't have to select those models. We just use that service for our business use case. So that is also one level of using AI, right? The fourth one, which is very common today, is agentic AI. So AI engineers are creating AI systems that can reason, plan, and act using models plus tools. Example, a customer support agent that not only answers questions but also research passwords, tracks orders, and processes refunds. So the traditional customer service, what they do, they will talk to you, the physical one, and they will do some operations for you. Otherwise, you talk to a bot, and the bot will try to convince you with some answers. And finally, when we don't get the answers, or when the bot cannot actually do the changes in the system, it will redirect you to some human. Okay, how many of you have got irritated with those bots in the past? Because they cannot do anything, they just respond to you based on some pre-recorded context. So almost everybody here, right? So that is something that you can change with good AI agents. So if you look into any company these days, most of them will be saying AI powered, or we have a AI agent. They will have something related to agentic AI. Key stakeholders in the ML pipeline. ML pipeline involves data preparation, model training, and model consumption. As a ML engineer, you work with all the other stakeholders. So your focus is on ML training plus building business ready models. But you cannot do it without the help of other stakeholders, right? And you also need a data engineering team. So data engineering team uses various tools to collect the data and prepare the data as you need it, and will give to you. So they are in charge of data preparation. That is their focus. And you also have a DevOps or MLOps team. So they will optimize ML training pipeline. So DevOps, one of the core principles of DevOps is to automate or build pipelines, right? And here you will be optimizing ML training pipeline. And their focus is on model training, speed, and reliability. You also have a business team. They evaluates the model with metrics, confirms readiness for business use, etc. And their focus is model consumption and monitoring. So do not think one person is going to do all of these things, right? All of these things are really important. So you don't have to learn it all. But in today's world, many people try to learn as much as possible from all of these things, because with the help of Gen AI and all, you can be more productive. As long as you know things, you can use these tools to become more productive. But if you do not know the concepts, then using these tools can be dangerous also. Okay, so learn the concepts, then use tools to become more productive. But do not try to use these tools without knowing the concepts, just thinking I can be productive just by using these tools, because you cannot trust the answers you get from these GenAI tools. Any questions about AI? So this was just tip of the iceberg. There are a lot of things to learn from generative AI. I have included few links for you to start reading immediately after this session. So there is a question, do we have separate hands-on on RAG? Yes, when we discuss on both Azure as well as AWS cloud, that is the current plan, and maybe in future GCP. So when we look into any particular cloud, we will see hands-on for RAG also. That will be mostly part of the agentic AI on cloud discussion. So, and if you have any doubts, just ask me. So you can see my contact information. You can just go to codingarchitect.ca/contact to get my current phone number or WhatsApp number, and also LinkedIn profile. So you can text me or WhatsApp me, or you can DM me on LinkedIn. My blogs, AI nodes are part of codingarchitect.ai. Cloud nodes are part of cloudrix.com. And dev and security nodes are part of secdops.com. The recordings will be shared as part of CS Cafe YouTube channel. Okay, so stay connected. So at least go to codingarchitect.ca/contact and send me a text or WhatsApp message and say hi, so that later when you need some help, I will know you. Okay, so bye bye for now, and see you all in next class.